Hello, you are all welcome to this channel. This is Net Solution. And this tutorial, I'll be using Python to write a code that will allow the user to calculate the volume of a cylinder. Okay, let's say the volume of a cylinder 20, enter the height of a cylinder 40. If I hit enter, it says the volume of a cylinder is 5265.48 cubic units. Okay, now I will show you guys how you can be able to write this code and allow the users to make their choice and enter the volume of a cylinder. Okay, right here, what we have to do now is to import mass, because what we are trying to do is mass. Now let us import mass model. Okay, import mass. Okay, now we are going to write a function def cylinder volume. That's the name of our function. We are going to pass in some parameters, ratio, and then height, column, enter. Let us write the formula for calculating cylinder volume, and the formula is pi times r raised to power 2 times h, which is pi times ratio raised to power 2 times height. Okay, now let us save that on a variable called volume. Okay, volume is equals to, now in Python, the formula for maths and the pi, the pi is math.pi. Okay, that is pi here, is equals to math.pi times ratio raised to power 2 times height. Okay, in Python we use double asterisk as raised to power the number. Okay, this double asterisk means ratio raised to power 2. Okay, the double asterisk means raised to power, while only one asterisk means times. Okay, now we have write the formula for that. Now let us return volume. Okay, here let us write another function. We are going to call this function main. You can call this function anything at all. Okay, here in this function we are going to allow the user to enter their ratio, the number of the ratio. Okay, we are going to name this ratio equals to input. Now here in input, let us tell the user what to do. Enter the ratio of the cylinder. Okay, here should be height equals to input enter the height of the cylinder. Okay, now let us check the user's input. If the user's input is not above 0, if the user input is below 0, means it's not calculatable. We are going to tell the user how you have entered a wrong number or your inputs cannot be calculated. Okay, now let us check the user's input. If ratio is less than or equals to 0, or height is less than or equals to 0, we want to do something. Okay, print both ratio and height should be positive number. Both ratio and height should be positive number. Full stop. S if the user's input is above 0. Now let us continue. Now let us call this function. We are going to call this function here, because here we are going to calculate the user's input with this function. Here the formula for calculating this is written in this function. Here is the formula, and the formula is in this function. Now we're going to call this function in order to use this formula. Right? Okay, now let us call the function volume is equals to cylinder underscore volume. Okay, now we're going to pass in the argument. We are going to use this as an argument. Remember, the parameter was passed in here. We are going to now use this as an argument. Okay, now ratio comma height. Okay, which this is what that will be calculated. Now print using the f string, because we are going to pass in some variables inside the string. That is why we are using the f string. Okay, using the f string, the volume of the cylinder is the curly bracket volume. Okay, this curly bracket helps us to pass in a variable or anything else inside the string using the f string. Okay, is this cubic units. Now we're going to call the function. Remember, normally to call this function we should use cylinder, okay, and then main, because we have two functions here, the first function, the second function, which is this first function and second function. But if we should call this function like this, it will give us an error code. Although there's no error message here, but let's see what will happen. It will give us an error code. You can see it doesn't work. It says type error, cylinder volume missing two required positional arguments, ratio and height. Okay, it requires an argument here because a parameter was passed in here. Okay, but we don't have anything to pass in there. Everything has been settled here. Here, this should be the argument, and the argument has passed in here already. So to do this, we are going to bypass this. Now use if statement to bypass that and then run our code. Underscore name underscore is equals to, using string, underscore main underscore. Okay, now this, we should indent this so that it can be under the if statement. Okay, this is now our main, the main one we should look on. Okay, we should not look on this first one. Okay, now let us look on this. That is what the thing is trying to say. Now if I run this, if I should run this, it says enter the ratio of a cylinder. Let me say 20 and hit enter. Enter the height of a cylinder, 40. I hit enter. Okay, it gives us an error message. This error message occurs. Now let us check the error type. It says type error, less than or equal to not supported between instance of string and integer. Okay, hope you understand that. I will explain. This is not calculatable using the user input. The user input is a string, but what you're trying to check or calculate with is an integer, so the both cannot work. So now what we have to do is we have to change this to either an integer or a float. If you change this to an integer, it is not the correct appropriate way for it to work, because there should be points something. Okay, which may be 220.480, this that. Okay, if you use an integer, the point will not appear, means your calculation will not be accurate. So we should use float. We should typecast this into a float so we can be able to get the point. It can be able to appear in a float. Now if I run this once more, it says enter the ratio of a cylinder. If I still enter 20 and hit enter, enter the height. If I enter 40 and hit enter, as you can see here, it says the volume of the cylinder is 50265.482 blah 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 cubic unit. Okay, now we should reduce this number to be readable. We should remove all this, okay, and let the volume ends with the last dot 2. Okay, this last 2. Okay, now to do that, we are going to come back here in the volume and add column dot 2f. The 2f here will remove everything here and take the first 2. Okay, it will take the first 2. If I make it dot 4f, it will remove everything and take the first 4. Okay, now we want to take the first 2. Let us make this dot 2f and run the code once more. If I hit enter and then click, let me set to be 20, height to be 40, then it says the volume of the cylinder is 50265.48. Okay, now this is how you can calculate the volume of a cylinder using Python. Okay, you're all welcome to my channel. Thanks you all.